The stage of the Tour de France today looks quite cheerful on the pictures at the moment, but I can tell you at the finish it is a bit thick and sticky, and in fact it's very dull and dismal. The clouds have come down, and these riders here perhaps haven't been informed yet. They better get their Macintoshes out and their umbrellas and their galoshes. It's miserable, it's depressing, it's not very nice at all. We just hope on Eurosport that we can have enough pictures coming through during our programme for you to watch the action today. The trouble is, when the clouds come down like they are now, hanging over the mountains, then our helicopter can't fly and can't bring the pictures. We'll keep our fingers crossed though, as the riders are right down the bottom of the valley now. They've just come through Foix after having covered some 88 kilometres of the race today, which takes them 164 kilometres into the Pyrenees. The finish today at Gouzet-Neige. Gouzet-Neige, well known to British followers of the sport, because this is where Robert Miller had his stage success way back in 1984, and Robert out of the race this year with the problems that Le Groupement have had in financing the team, and so we're sorry, Robert, you're not with us on this day when perhaps you would have been looking for a victory here. The riders have just gone over a bit of a speed bump there. They've come through the feeding station at Foix, very nice, delightful little town. I'm sorry we didn't have a chance to show it you on television here. They've got a marvellous castle right up in the top, and going full tilt as well was a little country fair right down in the town centre, where they've just been holding the French Canoe Championships. The riders all grouped together here. The only action we've had so far was at the 23 kilometre point on this stage 14 of the Tour de France, covering 164 kilometres from Saint-Orenz de Gamaville to Gouzet-Neige, and I think we should call it Gouzet-Pluie because it's raining here rather than covered in snow. But after 23 kilometres, fairly flat start to begin with. There at the sprint, Abdou Japarov came across the line in first spot ahead of Decker, and in third spot was Laurent Jalabert. So every time there's a chance to pick up a few points, Abdou Japarov is going to do just that today. We've had one little climb so far. That was after the riders had covered some 39 kilometres, the Côte de Nougalared, and that fourth category climb resulted in Brochard going out in first place. Hamburger was second, and Veronk was in third spot, collecting more points in the King of the Mountains competition for the polka dot jersey. All the big climbs really at the back end of the race. We'll be coming up shortly to the Côte de Garabay, which is a fourth category climb. We've got a sprint at Nio, but from 32 kilometres onwards, that's 15 miles, they go over one second category climb, two third category climbs, and finish a first category climb up to Gouzet-Neige, where, as I say, the clouds are hanging on the tops of the mountain here. And Stephen, this is reminding me somewhat the conditions we've got today of when you won that stage into La Baboule, when the clouds were down and the lights of the following cars, as it came through, it looked like a picture on our screen, something from a science fiction film, but you must remember that very well indeed.
I do, of course, and looking at the riders here now, you would not even think for a minute that the weather was going to get so bad. It may lift before the riders get here, but at the moment the fog is actually coming down thicker and thicker, so the final climb up here to Gouzet-Neige is going to be, hopefully, as you're saying yourself, Dave, hopefully the helicopter will be able to pick up the pictures and give it to us here, because this fog is getting very, very dense, and the later it gets, the more dense the fog is getting. But I've actually ridden this climb before on two occasions I rode her on, they're actually in fog and mist. So once I finished almost last in the stage, I got blown out, and then the year later I came back and I won the stage in the same race on the same mountain, but once again in the rain and the fog as well. I've never come to this place here, but then at the same time it's so green, and everybody's saying come down to Gouzet-Neige for its greeneries and everything else, but if it's green, there's a reason for it. It's like Ireland.
But here, see, Ireland, it blows up off the sea. Here it seems to hang. Although the Pyrenees aren't as high as the Alps, averaging about just about 3,000 metres above sea level, they do seem to hold the clouds and keep them a lot greener than the Alps, which are 4,000 metres, a lot more barren, aren't they?
They are, but you need an awful lot of wind, and because there's so much mountainous here, it's very difficult to get the wind to blow these fog clouds away. So, but at this moment now, it's amazing. I drove the last few kilometres of the race as well, and it's amazing once you start getting up towards Gouzet-Neige, as you get towards the foot of the climb, the roads start getting wet, and then the fog comes down and gets thicker and thicker as you go up. And Gouzet-Neige itself, the climb itself is only about 10 kilometres long, but it goes up on two stages, as we're now at 68 kilometres from the finish, which is about 60 kilometres from the foot of Gouzet-Neige. And but it goes up in two parts. Once it goes up, and not too difficult initially, it's reasonably good road, but it goes up maybe about 6%. then it means 6% means you'll be going a bit when about a 41, 18, 19. Then it goes up a sharp left, down a little bit, and starts going up again for the last 6 kilometres up to the finish here. And then it starts getting rather steep. Then I think you've been eating about 20, 41, 20, 41, 21. But of course, it's not really a climb that will suit Pontani today because it's not as steep as the
now you tell me it wouldn't suit Pontani. I put him down as a winner today.
Well, it'll suit him in one sense, but at the same time, like out the way is very steep and it's very long, so he can get a gap and keep it. We're on this kind of a hill here. We saw the other day into the stage where we finished on the airfield, that stage of Gelabert won, that Pontani was attacked and he was very quickly caught by Indurain because it was a big strongman's climb, and this hill today is more of a strongman's climb, more of a Gelabert climb maybe than a Pontani climb. So I think Gelabert, even though Pontani has a slight chance of getting away if they arrive together, I'd say it's more of a finish for someone like Gelabert maybe, who is at this moment in his career has become very, very strong and very useful on those kind of climbs.
And here they are stringing along the old road. The left-hand side is the motorway, not quite complete at the moment. In fact, I saw a man and his wife taking their dog for a walk on the motorway this morning. It's not complete at the moment. I thought, well, you see something new every day. You learn something every day, and there was a man taking his dog for a walk on the motorway.
Well, I got a new map there coming to Tour de France just to make sure I was up to date with all the routing and everything else. And now I'm finding when I'm doing my routing the night before for the way I'm going to go to the stage finish and what have you, sometimes there are other routes and four-line roads marked, indicated on it, and these roads are not actually grouped up together yet. So I'm arriving, this is motorway here, and I'm kind of calculating 2.5 hours, 3 hours to do a distance, and I'm actually taking 4.5 hours because the motorway is half built but not actually tied together yet. So the maps that are coming on the market at the moment are a bit far advanced compared to the roads that are actually available at the moment.
Well, we're watching the Tour here on its stage then, 164 kilometres from Saint-Orens-de-Gamaville to Gouzet-Neige, stage 4 to the Tour de France. Just a little quiet word about the motorways there. Certainly in England now they're slowing down the motorway building. They're only building absolutely necessary where it's possible, and they have to put a road in because half the trouble is now we're destroying our countryside. As more roads you build, the more motor cars fill them. And in fact, whilst we're on the Tour de France, I haven't caught up with the actual intricate details of it, but first of all, in Paris, they have now really clamping down on the stench from the exhaust, and they're carrying out checks on the smoky exhaust fumes and making the cars go and get that sorted out. And also they're now trying to find some way of controlling the number of cars which are actually inside Paris, inside the periphery, because of the smog and the problems of the cars cutting the place up. So that's all good news for cyclists anyway.
It is. Well, you see now, Dave, we're starting now to hit the final end of the final of the race, and the last 65 kilometres actually 5 calls, but you can see just here in the picture, you see the likes of Viahank moving up here, we see Rominger moving up here. I wonder will Viahank try and do something today, as Capocci there is actually leading them out, so maybe I'm sure the Carrera must have something in their minds, but you see Carrera, Capocci here leading out. There's one, you see two Carrera riders there as well. Viahank now he's going for the prize, but see Viahank there, he just sprints over the line. It doesn't really have anyone coming out. So many counterattacks here.
Let's count the Côte de Gabourey after 66 kilometres being covered, and the attack underway by a Castorama rider.
As Capocci follows him away as well. So there's a lot of descending here. They're very, very small roads as well. So the advantage goes to a breakaway group here. And we saw also the Miguel Indurain's Manessa team. There was not too many of them turning to the front. So that's actually Gilles Talmont. Actually, my neighbour, actually, would you believe. He lives only about 5-6 kilometres from myself, and I started training with him as he started to become a professional. But he's having a reasonably good season this year, Gilles, as well. But he's a reasonably good sprinter. But of course, in the Tour de France this year, there hasn't been much room for sprinters. Only the top ones, like Rominger came with him.
That's interesting, isn't it? The Rominger's now looking very, very keen indeed, and this kind of condition can suit him. He rides better in the damp, doesn't he?
He does. Like, and Rominger has to show here because he's 8 minutes 56 seconds down, whereas from a Giro d'Italia winner, a 3 times Tour of Spain winner, he doesn't want to. He has to show somewhere in the Tour. He said, "Don't worry, there's no point in the cameras following me, thinking I'm going to stop and cry off and go home. I'm staying in the Tour this year. I'm going to finish it. I'm investing for next year." He realises that maybe the Giro took an awful lot out of him this year, so he says maybe next year he may not do the Giro. He may just concentrate only on the Tour de France, as Miguel Indurain does each year.
and consternation in the camp now. They're beginning to marshal the forces of the Banesto team here, recognising that they've got a threat here with Rominger trying to get away. Rominger started this morning there, you saw it on the screen, in 6th spot overall in general classification, some 8 minutes and 56 seconds down. So Banestos have had a reasonably comfortable ride to here, but one never knows how much has been taken after them, because day after day after day they've been having to chase down breaks. I've never seen so many people prepared to tack the yellow jersey of Indurain over these last 4 years as we have seen in this Tour de France this year.
Even this morning from the start, that every day people say, oh well, tomorrow's going to be an easier day maybe, and because today was so hard. But once again this morning everybody attacks. So today is actually Miguel's birthday today. Actually, he was 31 today, so he's asked him what kind of birthday present do you want, Miguel, and of course Miguel says an easy day.
So there they are then, this little breakaway group then about to be absorbed. They've got something like about 65 kilometres to go to the finish at Guzet-Neige. The Banestos down to what, no more than 2 rides here. That's Indurain plus his henchman up in front. Once very strong indeed. Jalabert's dropped off the pace a bit, but there you can see Zuller lying third back. Once sponsored by the Spanish company or Spanish organisation, which is for the blind, and Once being both an organisation that has a lottery for money to be allocated towards the blind people, but also they have various little industries as well where the blind people work, and the Once team very, very heavily supported team indeed. We'll have lots of supporters out here as we go past the Devil's Bike himself, and here he is in oh God, good dear me. He's getting closer to heaven, the Devil. You'll get struck down one day, sir, with lightning.
Some man all the same. Every day he's there, he runs and runs and runs with the riders as they go by.
One day he'll fall over doing some nasty injury with that trident.
Yeah, you see Pantani here looking reasonably comfortable. Now is the long descent down to the flat road before hitting the final 10 kilometres up to Guzet-Neige. As you see the back of the bunch here, they're struggling to keep contact with Indurain. The group now is down to some 30 riders now at the moment.
And Jalabert's gone right back in this pack. I can't see him near the front at all.
He's there, Dave. He's in the middle of it.
Back. He's in the middle, is he? Yeah, but he's
the Carrera team going up to see Pantani. See the fog here now we've been talking about since we started our commentary. The fog now is eventually starting to come down.
And you see the poles on the side of the road, the red and white poles, those are the snow markers, so when people are going up here during the winter for their skiing and such, they can see where the road is, and don't go over the edge too far, otherwise you'll plummet down to the depths and down there to the little river which is flowing on its way back out from the Pyrenees. The snow here has well and truly melted. It's not like, well, we can't see any up in the clouds here, not like we saw in the Alps as such. These mountains only about 3,000 metres above sea level, not 4,000 metres. It's looking a bit odd here. You can see on our screen, sorry about that, the way in which the rain is getting on the lenses, but now our camera, which is a fixed camera, is going to pick up Pantani as he comes toward the top of the climb of the Porte de l'Air. They've been racing for 131 kilometres. There's 32 kilometres left to go to the finish.
Well, a few minutes I was saying the fog is coming. The fog is coming down. Where isn't actually the fog coming down? It's Pantani going up into the fog because the fog is staying where it is. So it is.
I think it's about the same as it's been all day actually, but thank goodness we are able to get you the pictures here on Eurosport of this massive crowd that's turned out. They've been walking up here since the crack of dawn. You see the cars on the side of the road. They're actually stopping those cars.
Indurain's taking over. Look at this now. He's Indurain's going himself.
We haven't seen much of Rees as he goes over the top here. The clock on the left-hand side shows that Pantani is first over the top. The average speed so far 37.5 kilometres per hour. Indurain is deciding now to outdistance some of his chasers. Just to say, look, I'm still a strong man. Pantani may be going for stage victory, but perhaps he's trying to get a stage victory.
Rees is gone, Dave.
We haven't seen Rees.
No, Rees is gone, Dave. So is Jalabert. I think when Indurain saw Jalabert coming back to him earlier on, he thought, well, this is the day now where I can eliminate another one of my adversaries. Look at the gap he's given, Dave. Such a short time.
Only Zuller can stay with him. Veronk, look at the way Veronk is met. Now here's Rees now.
Oh, that's why Indurain went.
Yep. So Rees now, and looks back to see Indurain coming up on his own. What a strong performance is he yet again from Indurain. He's caught back Bjorn Rees lying fourth on classification, 6 minutes back. He's towed up with him Zulap lying second on classification. Jalabert has blown now, and I think that must be a little bit of Indurain saying, hey, Jalabert, you tried it on me, I'll now try it on you.
Well, also the fact that Rees was in front, I'm sure he wanted to catch Rees before the top, because Rees being an excellent descender, he thought, well, Rees could open up more time on him, so I'm sure he wanted to catch Rees by the top, and he calculated so finely that he caught Rees right on the very top. This is going to be great if we can get our cameras to see the descent here, because you can see the difficulty. We're saying the road is very slippy here. The fog is there as well, making it more difficult for the riders as well. So this is going to be very dangerous to descent here.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. You back at home do the same thing. Let's hope all these riders get down safe and sound. This is a very tricky descent.
As you can see, Frank now coming back on now. It's now that Indurain has caught Rees, he can ease up a little bit, so it gives the back markers his chance to get back on again. And of course, when Vian can see Indurain in front of him, it gives him the carrot in front of him and motivation to get back on again.
Pantani took the first that climb there. He's still in the lead, but 4 men chasing after him. Pantani out the saddle, urging his bike on. He's got just inside 9 kilometres left now. If he gets a second stage victory here, then he's only going to join Cipollini. Cipollini's had 2 stage victories on the flatter part before he retired from the fray. Nobody else has won 2 stages in the Tour de France except Cipollini on the flat. It looks like Pantani now is going for this one on the climb at Gozek Neige. Stevens still on the front here, and they are at the back. That back group do seem to be struggling a bit, don't they?
They do, yeah. It's Jalabert now is still there, but is Stevens riding, hoping that Zuli will have a go. We see Mauri is still in there as well, so Mauri or Zuli could have a go yet.
Pantani's still concentrating. We'll have to find out later on why he suddenly slowed down, Stephen, because way back down there when he sat it, we thought he was going to give it up, but his team car's come back up again to him, and he's still pressing on.
Well, hopefully keep pressing on now to the finish and maybe win the stage, because he deserves it. He had a very, very up and down this year because of injury. It was very unfortunate. On May the 1st, the car went through a stoplight. Marco was coming down, he hit him, he got 8 stitches in his face and made a mess of him, busted up his knee and put him out of the Tour of Italy. So it took him then 2 weeks then completely rest to get things right. He started back training again towards the end of the Tour of Italy, rode the Tour of Switzerland, had a pain in his knee and stopped, and then started training again for the Tour. So it's come on incredibly over since the last 10 days. He's gotten form, we don't know from where, but he's in great form at the moment. Maybe not his best ever form, but at the same time good enough to give him a super ride into Alpe d'Huez 3 days ago.
Finished third in the Tour de France last year. He's in 8th position overall at the moment. That problem that Stephen was telling you about that he had has certainly slowed down his training, but nevertheless he's looking to get stage victories this time, which he didn't get last time, and here he is, and conditions are getting somewhat better. Thank goodness for that. This is the last one King of the Mountains prize of the day, and he takes that one.
Now the road starts going down a little bit, and he comes to a very sharp hairpin left, down another half a kilometre or so, and he starts going up in a very, very steep bit, which goes right up to the finish then.
That's Col de la Trappe, 8.5 kilometres left to the finish now, around about 5 miles of racing. They've covered 155 kilometres of this 164 kilometre stage so far today.
You see the fog where it goes up and down all the time. It gets very, very thick at sometimes, and then it just goes up for no reason at all.
Well, the first time that we went over the Col de la Trappe, Pantani has just taken the points. The first man to go there was Charlie Gaulle, and that was way back in 1956. That was the first time that it was used in the Tour de France, and Charlie Gaulle taking that particular climb. Of course, he was with us the other day on the rostrum here, talking to our German friends, Peter Voigt and Rudi Altig, and broadcasting live on Eurosport. Good to see Charlie Gaul back and looking very fit and well. And we haven't seen much of him for many years now, but he was a great gifted mountain climber, like this man Pantani. The Charlie Gauls this world, the Bamontes, the Herreras, the Lucien Van Impers, they had a particular gift and ability to be able to climb, gently on the brakes, Marco, and they had that ability to climb when the road goes up, and these men are sort of knee-high to grasshoppers, about 7 stone wet through, and my goodness, he's wet today. We find these riders shiny when it comes to the mountains, and we've got more big climbs after today. The riders have got a rest day tomorrow, and then we move on to the next big session of mountains in the Pyrenees, when we go on to stage 15 from Saint-Guerande to Courtrai.
We have Laurent Brochard now leading at the mountains climb now for Richard Vianca. But there's no real reason for it. They should be keeping their energy to go with Indurain in the final if Indurain goes, because, like I keep repeating myself, for Vianca still has over nearly 100 points more than a second place rider, so in the mountains classification, so there's no real need whatsoever to be doing what he's doing.
What would you do then, Steve, in his place? Would take it easy and look for a stage victory, so the day after tomorrow?
Look for a stage victory, like all the energy that he's using. He's going to, there's Pantani in the front, there is Madouas in front, there is now the TVM riders, 3 riders who's going now for fourth place. And what category climb is it, Dave? It's only what? It's only a third category climb, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Col de la Trappe. There's only 1 point. Yeah, you're quite right.
Yeah, so there's one for 1 point. Here he is using all his energy for 1 point. You know, where he's better off going to look at him. He's going for a frame and sitting there for 1 point. Like he still hasn't understood. Like, it's sometimes I ask myself, what is it? Has he got upstairs? You know, because he's only got one after 1 point. The energy he's used, his teammate Brochard, he put him on the front, made him ride for a kilometre up. Whereas in a few kilometres, if somebody attacks, they're going to get blown out probably. I may prove myself wrong, but in this situation, today maybe, but in general terms, every day that the energy he's using and the energy that he's making his teammates use to give him 1 point here and 1 point there could be harnessed to much better purposes.
Well, the only climb really that he could probably shine on to win a stage in the Tour de France is going to be stage 15 after tomorrow, when we go up towards Courtrai. There are in fact 4 first category climbs, the 1 Hope category climb. We're going over the Tourmalet of the Hope category climb, and then we've got a finish uphill 1,310 metres above sea level at Courtrai. So that's the only chance he's got of taking stage victory, I would think. Pantani looks like he's well on his way, buying accidents to a stage victory at Guzak-Naze. The crowds have lifted quite a bit. The men in front of us are now taking away some of the plastic screens which have been here to stop the cloud moving in to our commentary point. So certainly, Steve, the day after tomorrow, when you see that sort of course there, if Ferron could sort of save himself, that's one. Because after that, when we go to Tarbes de Pau, although there's some good climbs, we've got a first and a second, a first and a third, the last of the climbs is something like about 60 kilometres from the finish in Pau, and there could be a regroupment. So really, he's only got to day after tomorrow to go for a stage victory.
He has, and also he knows the form he has today, but tomorrow with the rest day, we saw last week, the day after a rest day is always very, very important. There's an awful lot of riders don't actually digest properly the rest day, and the following day after, at the time the Madouas and Pantani, the gap is actually going up. But the day after rest day is always very, very important for every rider. Pantani now is 250 up on Indurain, so he's actually pulled away a small bit. So Pantani now has gone a long way now, I think, towards winning the stages. I'd say now it'll be very difficult to catch him, even if Indurain does do what he has done in the past few mountain stages, meaning going in the front and trying to make a very fast tempo.
And he's coming up then to, I think that's 5 kilometres to go. Yes, it is 5 to go for Pantani on the stage finish at Guzak-Naze. We're up in the mountains, up in the Pyrenees, and looking at the winning magazine, I said that how the numbers of entries, I've had about 300 entries in for the winning Dream Tour. This man, Madouas, is in second spot at the moment. We haven't seen much of him on his way up here, but I don't think he's going to catch Pantani now in that winning Dream team that has been published, the top 125 teams. There's one team here called Mountain Kings, Kings, it's lying 50th on the competition at the moment. What you had to do, Winning published a lot of riders, and you could pick your best team, or best 9 men. You were allowed to have 1 star, you were allowed to have 2 mountain climbers, a sprinter, and domestics, and so on. But you had to work within a budget, and they put the budget cost down of each of the riders. You see here, like Miguel Indurain was the most expensive if you wanted him in your team, and so you built a team up using only a certain amount of money. And the winning team at the moment is Harry Monk Racing Team with 5,091 points as at stage 9. It's interesting competition, but we've got teams called the Mountain Kings, Climb Every Mountain. Well, I wonder if Shirley Bass is the team manager of that lot. No, it's a man called Goosh, and Kirpuchi's Revenge is lying 53rd at the moment on this. So we've got some teams in Winning's competition here. The other one is Hillbillies, put in by Mr. Hill, and this one from Doyle, I'm not sure it's Tony Doyle, called Gravity Sucks, and one called Gillows Grimpers from a fellow called Gilbert. So we've got 10 people here putting mountain type teams in the Winning Dream Tour team. But Pantani here on his way to now his dream of winning a second stage victory in the tour. And I said the other day, of the 125 teams that have been published here in the Winning magazine, the 150th team on the list is the David Duffield Fan Club. I'm sure that's a joke from the editor. Well, I shall have to wait and see when I see him. Here we are then. Well, he said that it looks like Maddow wasn't going to try and, well, certainly going to try and catch Pantani, but it looks like he's not going to do it now, because there must be about a good kilometre between Pantani and Madouas, and the main field are nowhere in sight.
Well, Madouas is 125 down on Pantani now, so Pantani is actually opening up on Madouas all the time. So this small false flat here goes down for another kilometre or so, and then it starts going up very steep, and it goes up then very steep then up to the finish, like needing a 41, 20, 41, 20, 21 even. Then about a kilometre from the finish then, very, very strangely enough, the road just dives off to the left into a small little alleyway, and it's very, very tricky because they've just redone the road in places. It's like they put stones on the road with a bit of tarmac at them. The stones haven't actually taken to the tarmac at them because the weather is not as warm as it has been today. It means all the stones have not yet been absorbed by the tarmac at them, so there's still very, very an awful lot of loose gravel on that small little road. But I thought it was a very, very bad finish to it, like a mountaintop stage in the Tour de France. It was a very bad finish. If they had to come straight on, they could have come practically straight across the finishing line in the opposite direction. But just to get the race coming in one direction, they brought us down. They dived down this small little road. Alleyway, it's not actually a road, it's an alleyway off to the left, and brings it around on a very, very narrow road up to the finish line.
And I'm putting my anorak on here because they've moved the plastic screens at the front, and it's getting very, very chilly indeed. So when the riders finish, their soigneurs will grab them and put some warm clothing on them, because it's not very nice conditions at all. They're inside the final 5 kilometres, this group which contained Indurain, and I think that they're going to be very happy to get up here and then be whisked down the mountainside later on back to their hotels and for a day's rest tomorrow. But it won't be much of a day's rest though, Steve, will it? So they'll have to go out and get their legs moving.
Well, tomorrow, as in the previous rest day, they have to go out and do 2 or 3 hours training. But at the same time, it's different than the past, because in the past, in the last rest day they had last week in Liège and the Grand Bornand, they had to do the transfer down from Liège down to the Grand Bornand on the plane. So they had to do the travel down, plus get everything organised, and then go out training. So Pantani is 3 minutes 16 down now, ahead of the group Indurain. That's great for Pantani. So, but still, Pantani still needs about what? He still needs 4 minutes altogether.
Yeah, nearly 4 minutes to move above Gotti, actually.
So place, yeah.
He's coming very close indeed as far as he's concerned. Jon Riis then, he's away.
That's an incredible now. Riis now, we thought a few minutes ago, is maybe having a little bit bad because he was sitting on the back. But he must be trying to maybe bluff Indurain. Let Indurain think, as well as ourselves, David, that he wasn't in great form today. But now we have to see an immediate reaction now from Indurain, and also maybe we might see Zule reacting, because Riis now is down in 4th place, 6 minutes down on GC, but Jalabert and Zule are ahead of him in 3rd and 2nd place. So I think we might have a reaction from Indurain, but also I'd say there'll be some reaction from the ONC riders.
Well, Riis tried to get away on the first of the long climbs up within the last 32 kilometres of the race. He went away up the Porte d'Alers after Pantani had gone, and then suddenly he got closed down, just went over the top of the line of that climb. Indurain got him on the line, and we all thought he'd blown the gasket, gone back in, was just hanging on for grim death. But he's
away. Who's that riding on the front side?
It's
Bunahara. What is he doing here? I was going to curse, but I better not curse. Why don't he let him do it by himself, boys?
My tactics. We're going to have one day. We're going to wire these riders with sound, and you can tell him what to do. Why don't you become a team manager?
That's why I could never become a team manager, because I could not take this kind of riding. So I said I'm better off being out of it altogether. I'm already biting my tongue here at the moment. Not to say too much already, because when I see riders like this, like leave Indurain ride by himself, like the race is a race, it's an individual race. Stop the riding. Leave Indurain riding himself or with his team. He's big enough. Indurain never thought of Bunawara when he was riding in the mountains the previous days either.
Yeah, because Bunawara could leave it to the last kilometre, couldn't he? If he really wants to accelerate, but why go here this far out?
He could. Indurain doesn't need anybody, so they should let him ride by himself. Let him do his own little thing.
Well, Bunawara for the Kelme team, they've always been thereabouts, these Kelme riders. They've given some spirited performances throughout the race. They seem to have got most of their riders left. I'm just having a little look down the list of them. They've lost two. Angelo, the sprinter specialist, he's dropped out, and Francisco Capello, who won the stage into Brighton in the Tour de France last year, he's also out of the race at the moment. Most of the teams have lost a number of riders. The worst, in fact, is Lotto so far. They're just down to, I think they've got 2 riders left at the moment, so they are having all sorts of trouble, the Lotto team.
So is Madras, David.
Yeah, he's in trouble too.
He's in trouble at the moment.
Benesto have still got all their men in the race at the moment. Gavispalan have only lost Berzin, so there's still some strong teams in there. Team Pulte, according to my notes at the moment, have all their riders still in there, but one or two of them have really lost a lot of riders, because they lost some 60 men since we started just over 2 weeks ago.
There's Zula there. Indurain now is coming to the front now himself. He's put his hands down the bottom of the bar, so he's going to start accelerating soon. Like he has to go after Rees. Whatever about Pontani finishing ahead, he has to go after Rees. Rees is only some 6 minutes down on himself, so a minute here and a minute there. Indurain cannot afford it. So if he does let Indurain go, Rees go, it'll only kind of show maybe a sign of slight weakness maybe. So you have to go after Rees if you can.
Well, I think about Rees too. I mean, with 5 kilometres to go in the time trial the other day, he was 5 seconds up on Indurain, or probably 4 kilometres to go. So I think Indurain must know that Rees can also time trial, because providing that Indurain stays more or less in the yellow jersey, and everybody else is at least 1 minute or 2 minutes behind him, when it gets to the time trial, he would normally be quite confident to smash them all. But Rees could be a threat.
It is. Well, we just have news coming back now on the race radio. Indurain has actually accelerated. The back door now is open. The riders are starting to grab through the back, so we should see a shot now of Indurain shortly with a slightly diminished group.
Inside those final 2 kilometres for Pantani, then this man who was an amateur was first, second and third, not all in the same year. He did them in different years in the amateur tour of Italy, and he went on a couple of years ago to suddenly burst on the professional scene by taking 2 of the big mountain stages. He took third in the Tour de France last year. This man was the winner, looking for his 5th victory. Indurain accelerating.
Mauri's gone, Dave. Mauri's Centratas got on the radio a minute ago. Mauri is gone. So is Jalabert is gone. We have Zuli and Gotti on the wheel of Indurain at the moment.
Do you mean gone off the back or gone off the
Out the back.
Out the back,
yeah. But you see now, Virenque is gone. If Virenque had maybe harnessed his energy or going for those 1 stupid points here and there, maybe he could still be with Indurain. No.
Indurain showing his strength. He rides like a machine. He's been calculating very precisely what he has to do. They go past the Pulte team bus there, and the Gavis bus, a very nice new one, that pale blue. I had a look at it myself down at Saint-Brieuc. Lovely bus it is to cart the riders back down the mountainside when they finish this tough old day in the Pyrenees. The first of our days in the Pyrenees, we've got one the day after tomorrow, rest day tomorrow for the riders. They're certainly going to need it. This race then, the Tour of France, fought out now. We've done 1,600 miles by the time they finished. The average speed, as at this morning, was 40.95 kilometres per hour. That's 25.6 miles an hour. A record average speed at the moment. It's likely to go a bit slower because today's stage is around about 21 miles an hour there, so it'll take it down a bit, but it's been a very fast tour indeed. Only 129 riders left of the 189 that started out. Pantani looking for his 2nd stage success, getting toward that final last kilometre.
He is. Indurain now has accelerated. He's not going to. I'd say he content himself to go and catch Rees, but when we saw a few minutes ago the group behind Indurain is split up at the smithereens. Mauri is gone. There's only Zule and Gotti left with Indurain. But Gotti could also move up a place or two, because he's 8 minutes to 7 seconds down on Indurain. But with Rominger gone, with Mauri gone, he could move up even 2 places, up into 6th place overall maybe.
So Pantani who set a hot pace. He attacked way back down the road. He went away. Let's have a look at my notes here. He went away long before we started the Porte d'Alers. So he's now been out there on his own, getting on for probably something about 25 miles, I suppose. It's been a fair old ride as far as he's concerned.
He's caught Rees there. He's caught Rees.
Rees is back.
Yeah. A great try of Rees. So Rees has done an incredible ride in this Tour de France. He's attacked on every possible occasion. So I'm sure next year he comes back with the same mentality and the same condition. He'll certainly be one of their main rivals for Indurain.
And the only other man that's hanging on there, who's up there on GC at the moment, Zula in the pink jersey.
Zula is looking very, very cool here as well, but Zule is having a difficult situation here, because if Zule tries to sprint, he will also put more time into Jalabert. Jalabert at the moment is on the podium in Paris in third place, with Rees some 2.5 minutes behind him, so he must in one sense protect his own himself, but at the same time protect his third place of Jalabert. Imagine a second and third place in the podium in Paris for Jalabert and for Zule. He must think of that.
Madouas is beginning to struggle. The rest are coming up very quickly indeed, and so Madouas has tried to close that gap down on Pantani. He's an entirely different sort of climber, a big, long, lanky fellow here, using all the power that he can do, as Pantani then coming up to 1 kilometre to go.
This behind now just dropped down this alleyway that I was talking about a few minutes ago. You see the barriers here, that small little dark patch you see on the road is loose gravel, so it's very, very dangerous, although he's on his own, so it shouldn't be much danger to himself.
Well, there we are then, in the Pyrenees. He's got one in the Alps. He got the stage victory at the Alpe d'Huez. That cracking climb first used when Fausto Coppi got there in 1952 to take the victory then. This Italian here was another Italian to get the stage victory, because Pantani got it this year in 1995. Robert Miller and the Italian rider Garotto have been victors here at Guzat-Neige. He looks like he's going to be the third man to get the stage victory at Guzat-Neige. It's going to challenge yet again. Pantani sprinting out the saddle. A very well calculated stage victory for him. There's some doubt that he'll be able to last the distance, but he's done just that. He's proved he can take stages in the Alps. He's proving today he can stage one in the Pyrenees as well.
No, it's a great ride for Pantani once again. He did it last year in the Giro as well, but he had much better form last year in the Giro. So now he's 300 metres to go. When he tagged here on the second last climb with some 35 kilometres to go, I thought to myself, Marco, maybe you're going from a bit far out, but he has the form. He's shown it here now today. He's and what a way to kind of to come back after a very, very bad accident only 1.5 months ago.
Up here then in the Pyrenees, massive towering mountains start gently way up in the Basque foothills and promptly plunges into the Mediterranean near Perpignan. We've come then from just starting near Toulouse, gone down south straight toward the Pyrenees. The closer we got, the worse the weather's become. The clouds are on the top of the mountains here, but the man who's going to absolutely have his head high in these clouds is the man with the shaved head himself, the Kojak of cycling, Pantani, taking the stage victory at Guzat-Neige.
It's a very, very hard 300 metres. You just saw it there. It was very, very hard. It goes very, very steep. It's a very, very narrow road, and it's very difficult for anybody. So it's as well today there's not a big group at the finish.
And the scrum has developed over the finish line. Pantani has been absolutely deluged by photographers. This is one occasion, I think, Stephen, when we're on top of the big climbs, the sun is beating down. They don't want the camera. I think round here it might keep him warm.
Well, I think today they'll be actually looking for the cameras, because the weather here on top of Guzat-Neige is not very, very warm, as you can imagine here, from the mist and the dampness. Is very, very cold.
Well, the riders will be welcoming their rest tomorrow, and the conditions here for the riders very miserable indeed. Madouas looks like he might in fact just about hang on, but I saw Indurain coming up in the distance, going like a Spanish train himself. They got a big sign a few days down the road. He got Indurain TGV, because the TGV is a very, very fast train in France, and Indurain is a fast train in yellow, and he might yet catch this man here. I don't know if Madouas knows it, but the way that Indurain is coming up at the moment, he might be looking for a second place. Indurain, I'm sure, would love to win a stage in in the Pyrenees. We've got one the day after tomorrow. He might just get that one. He's been fighting all the way so far to keep that yellow jersey on his shoulders. He's going to do it successfully today, is Indurain. But Madouas looks like for France he's going to take the second spot. He's just about made it. He's hung on there. He timed his ride to perfection, but he couldn't close the gap on Pantani.
No, but still 400 metres to go, Dave. That last 400 metres is very, very difficult, and I'm sure Indurain and Zule will be going up there a lot faster than himself. So his second place is not yet guaranteed. As you can see here, he's struggling. The last 300 metres to go now. It's getting steeper as he goes up. We saw Pantani on some of those difficult left, right-hand corners, very, very steep. It's going to be very difficult for him to hold on to his second place, but well.
He looks back, he can't see through the cameraman, but we're looking back now, and there they are. They nearly got him, and they've got about 150 minutes to go as Indurain swings round. Zula just behind him, missing the barriers, and Gotti there has just been shelled out the back of Indurain, grits his teeth, grabs his bars, and through the murk comes Madouas trying to get his second place, and he's dying on the line, and Indurain is coming up at him now. You're quite right, Stephen. He hasn't quite got it yet.
Reese been dropped there. Reese been dropped.
And Madouas has got nothing left in his leg. But can he get second spot? He looks back then. He's got the line in second spot. Indurain in third. Zula fourth. Gotti fifth. Reese back in sixth spot. What a finish from Indurain.
Yeah, incredible finish for Indurain. Incredible finish for them all. But Indurain now is getting a habit of doing this on the hill, so he is.
There's the scrum of photographers I tell you about at the finish, how they swarm like flies around the honeypot, trying to get stories from the riders who just want to get some breath into their lungs. As Virenque comes up here, then Claudio Chiappucci in this little group too will be happy that his teammate Pantani's got the stage victory. He's smiling or grimacing, I'm not sure with Claudio Chiappucci, but he's fighting his way up there. Virenque comes through with Jalabert, who's really lost a lot of time. Jalabert has probably lost about a minute. I didn't check put watch down, unfortunately, on Indurain finishing, but I think he's lost a bit of time now on Indurain. Jalabert, the loser on the day today. He tried to get away, he blew, and now he's coming in 3:23 down on Pantani, but the gap between him and Indurain has grown.
Well, I'm sure Jalabert will be happy to have a rest day tomorrow because he's had a very, very hard tour until now, so the rest day tomorrow will help him recharge his batteries. Laurent Brochard coming in after having earlier on we saw him leading out behind, so once again an effort he wasted bringing his Mauri's coming in. Mauri has lost a lot of time, Dave.
Yeah, Mauri, who might have in fact we haven't seen Rominger either.
No.
Rominger's not coming either, so Indurain today has punched another great gap between himself and people like Mauri, Jalabert and Rominger have all suffered today under the power of the man in yellow.
Well, Pantani's going to move up another place to today, even though he didn't finish 4 minutes or 5 minutes ahead. He's going to jump over Rominger. Rominger was in 6th place, so Pantani could find himself now tonight up in as high as 6th place overall.
We're looking back at some of the tail-enders led in by Jean-François Bernard, at one time one of the great white hopes of French cycling, but at the moment he's back with the main pack of riders who've still got to drop down the other side of that mountain and then climb up to the finish where the conditions are very damp, very dismal and very miserable, except for elated Pantani, who has won the stage today.
I wonder did Pantani feel the cold on his head today? I wonder. Like it's even I'm feeling it very cold today. Normally cold weather, that doesn't mean I don't feel it like. But Jean-François Bernard today, the group he's in, there's some 5 kilometers still down the road. So as Romeo comes in now.
Well, he's lost probably at least another couple of minutes on Indurain. Unfortunately, I got me watching it and I forgot my excitement because I thought Indurain was going to get second place to press the blasted button. But as Madouas was running about 2.5 minutes down, or 2 something down on Pantani. Well, yeah, 2:33. So right.
2:30 down on Indurain.
Right.
Yeah.
So we take 2:30 off this time here, and that's a gap back to Rominger, isn't it?
Yeah,
so in
2
fact,
minutes.
He's lost another couple of minutes.
Yeah, Rominger has lost 2 minutes on Indurain, but he's lost 4 minutes on Pantani. So that could put Pantani from 8th place on GC up to 6th place. So maybe now Pantani was saying the other day, and everybody laughed at him. Pantani was saying, "Oh, the podium there's 3 places on the podium. There's still 1 place there for me." So everyone laughed at him and thought, well, it's he might as well dream. But now he's getting if he climbs up as far as 6th place, there's still a possibility that he could move up even further in the mountains.
Well, he was third on the podium in the Tour de France last year. He started this year very slowly because of his accident, but now he's won the stage, the second stage in the Tour de France, and there he takes the bouquet and the kisses from the Coca-Cola girls. The day after tomorrow, we've got that stage then to Courtrai. That's another uphill finish. It's a first category climb again as well, and that's going to be something like 16 kilometres of climbing, 10 miles uphill. That will suit Pantani, and before we get there, those category climbs too as well. This man could still light this race up.
He will. Like there's with all these mountains, the R category climb, for example, over the Tourmalet, and dropping straight down to Luz Saint-Sauveur and up to the Col de Courtrai, which you know is very, very well, is a great terrain for him to do the same thing he did today with the Col de Tourmalet, 159 kilometres, only 45 kilometres away from the finish. We could see him doing it again because it goes all the way down, very, very fast down to the foot of Col de Courtrai. So we could see him doing it again and maybe take even more time out of Indurain.
Pantani, the winner at Guzet-Neige. Looking back at Pantani coming through the murk of the low cloud here at Guzet-Neige, this man really now has moved up the general classification. When we got in the mountains, he has flown, and now he's moving up. We might well see him in third spot. He's elated with that one, but when he looks at the general classification after, he might think there's more yet to come.
Look at his face on him. Like, whatever, it's like he doesn't seem happy, or he's something not he seems angry. He seems to have done it out of pure spite or something. It seems maybe something happened during the day that we don't know about it, but he seemed to be, like we saw one out the way as winning the stage. He threw his hands up and there were smiles from ear to ear. Now we see him there today winning on Guzet-Neige, and it seems to have a very, very stale fighting face on him.
I wouldn't like to see a face like that in a dark alley at night, would you? You're on a mile. But he looks happier now, doesn't he? Yes, he looks happier then, and the next jersey we'll see on the rostrum will be the polka dot jersey of Richard Bronk, who's been just getting every damn point he can lay his hands on. And, well, I wonder, you see, if Pantani and this fellow got together and started to work things over, they'd have a tremendous combination, wouldn't they?
Well, they would, but Pantani is streets ahead of Johank as regards the mountains climb. Johank is good on the small mountains where he can use a big gear and sprint over them, but when he gets to the big mountains this year anyway, and as in last year, Pantani is way ahead of him, but unfortunately Pantani is not going for the mountains jersey this year, like, so Johank has it on his own.
Rank, having scored so many points now, he's out of sight of everybody else. He could miss every point from now to the finish, I think, more or less, of the Tour de France, and still keep that polka dot jersey. He's got a hatful of points in the bag now. Champion is still on his jersey. Well, they're a supermarket company. We've seen his picture all over the place in connection with their promotion activity. They'll be happy then they got a Frenchman in the polka dot jersey on a day when the race has gone to the edge of Spain, up on the Pyrenees, but he's still in the polka dot jersey. Richard Bronk, King of the Mountains.
What a stage again, Dave. Look at the concentration in Indurain. Just driving up the last kilometre, the last 500 metres, giving it everything he has, trying to put some time into himself, Zule and Rees. Rees was the only one that got a little bit dropped, but I saw down the time sheet there for the start, for the finish. Rees didn't actually get a time. I thought normally they would have, because there's more than 10 metres between himself and Rees on the finish, but they haven't given Rees a time.
Well, Jalabert, who set the race alight on that stage in Termende, lost a bit more time today, nearly a minute on Indurain, but he did try to go away from him further down. I did like that about it, by the way, Stephen, that he did attack Indurain on this hill, and he realised he hadn't got it in his leg, but that showed courage, didn't it?
Oh, it did. Like, we've seen a new Jalabert this year. It's incredible. Like, we thought, like, after the Alpe d'Huez, it'll take him a while to recover, or this time since Monday, but he has had an incredible race since then. Today we saw him going away after Rees attacking, but he probably didn't feel his legs the way he felt them the other day, so he probably said, well, okay, I've done enough now for the moment, rest day tomorrow, and I will take it up again then on Tuesday in the Pyrenees.
And this is a look at Jalabert in action. Just watch him come here, disappointed today that he couldn't crack Indurain, but he's still in the green jersey as we go into the rest day.
Well, he had it go, but look at the face on him today. He's a very, very tired man now, so he's one sure man. Look how fast he's recovered. Look at his face there. Like 10 minutes ago, we saw his face. He looked very, very distraught, very, very white. Look at him now, 5 minutes later, a bit of a wash down with some cologne and some water. Put a hat on him, a bouquet of flowers, a nice blonde on your left, nice blonde on your right, and there he is now with a smile on his face.
And the man who set the race alight today on these very difficult and damp, dismal, dark conditions. Pantani, another look at him in slow motion coming across the line here. He may be still a chance of getting into the roster on the top 3 places, but he has got to go a long way to try and catch this man here, as Indurain then collecting another yellow jersey. He's the 6th man in the race to take the yellow jersey in this 1995 Tour, and he's now still in the lead.
As you see on the right hand side of the screen here, the birthday cake with 31 candles. Miguel Indurain was 31 today. What he asked for birthday present was to have an easy day today. He had a relatively easy day today, so that was some present from Miguel.
So it's happy birthday then to Miguel Indurain, and the wind then doing all it can to help him blow those candles out. There's so much damp in the air too, he sets himself on fire. He just stands out here and the rain will put a stop to it as well. So Indurain, 31 today. He's looking very strong for his 5th victory in the Tour de France in that yellow jersey. We still though got a week to go. We hope you'll stay with us on Eurosport all the way through the week. We're going to have a day off tomorrow. From Stephen Roche and myself, thank you for being with us for the last 2 weeks. We look forward to your company in next week when we start again on Tuesday. Bye bye for now. Au revoir.